is brought to you by the brand new video game, Sneaker Snape Sniper, where you can get a piece of the action.
Welcome to Gom Jabber with the Mua'Dweebs, Arax's Prime Worm Time podcast.
Awooga!
Wow, wow. See, we're pros.
And who are you? Who are you and what are we doing?
Hi, I'm Alec Boyle, the organizer of this both thorough and flippant reread of Frank Herbert's classic sci-fi novel Dune. We are going through the book 3 chapters at a time and doing what many would describe as way too close of a reading. I'm joined by my co-hosts Lily Brislin and Josh Stevens. I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Before I introduce myself, can I ask, are you proud to call yourself the organizer of whatever this is?
Anyone who listens to the end of the episode and hears our attempts at organizing a sound cue will know exactly what a massive achievement my organizing of this has been.
Okay.
It's
all right.
Right, we arrived at the mountaintop haggard and possibly missing a couple limbs. But we arrived, and that's a fucking achievement when you see what I've got to work with.
It only took an hour. We're good.
Lily, give everybody a quick rundown on who and what you are. And why. And where.
Ooh, deep questions. Why am I? My name is Lily. I refer to myself as the token female, but I feel like I don't want to do that anymore. I want to feel like I am the Reverend Mother of this podcast,
there
right? If we're giving ourselves titles. I'm a Dune enthusiast that remembers nothing about reading the book before, so I'm rediscovering it new. And that's what I do.
Yeah, we have a lot in common. I'm also rediscovering this new.
Who are you?
For the second, third time. But I am Josh Stevens, as you told everybody a minute ago. I don't know.
You're the gurney, dude. We already decided this.
That's true. I guess I am our fearless troubadour and PR spin man.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome.
The shoe fits, man. This still suit fits.
No still suits never fit this ugly lump of a man. So, welcome to Gom Jabber. We are going to start, as always, with a brief recap of what we read and a quote.
I love to say as always.
As always.
Just why would you do that?
Never missed a beat on that once in our entire career.
It's our shtick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do our shtick. Let's pretend that this is how we've all together we've always been.
And I'm certain that we will make sure we give a very thorough recap of each chapter, exactly where it falls in the book, all of the relevant information that you need for a proper Dune rereading. So, Alec, what did we read?
So we read 3 chapters. Do we want to start with the quote, or should I just give the 30-second and then we'll do quotes?
30-second rundown with Alec Boyle.
Okay, so the 30-second...
And where does it fall in the book? What chapter is it?
Oh, fuck you. I don't remember. Is it 11 to 14?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. We did 1 through 3. Then we did 4 through 6. Then we did 7 through 10, 7 through 10. And then we did 11 through 13.
So this is 14, 15, 16.
14 through 16.
In a book with no chapters, in which time is a construct.
I'm going to get out a marker, and I'm just going to start writing chapter numbers in my book.
Yeah. That's what we need.
So they can't do this to me anymore.
Well, it's like what you wrote in your other copy of the book, right? I mean, you love scribbling inside Dune books.
I do love scribbling. Now, are we going to share that on the Instagram?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Lily, you have the photo, right?
I think so. To all our fans, follow us at Gom Jabber on the Insta.
Our original copy of Dune from both of our first readings. I don't know, how old is this copy? How old is this copy of the book? I mean, this has got to be circa.
I mean, it's my dad's original
1990?
paperback, so I think it's older than that. I think it's like a 70s or 80s copy.
Oh. Well, I would know, but that page has been ripped out of the book. As I look through it, there's a little piece of that page somewhere as a bookmark, but it's the top of the page, not the page that shows you the year. Oh wait, I'm lying. 1960. Oh no, this just says.
That's the original printing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
65.
what's fantastic?
Yeah, this one is right below that.
You're not the first person I lent that copy to. I lent that to one of my managers when I worked at the theater in Evanston. And he's the one who did the original, like, murder job on the cover binding.
So, if for those of you that can't see this copy, it's a super old paperback, and Josh shared a picture, I don't know if it was today or yesterday. I thought it was, like, Alec's dad's copy. I was very confused, or if Josh's, like, kid. There's, like, a scribbledy drawing on the inside cover, and now I'm learning, no, this is Alec in his 20s was making childlike scribbledy drawings.
No, I was no. That was high school.
You were probably like 10.
Yeah.
Oh, high school. Okay, high school maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe junior high.
Well, on the last
still looks
page
like a
of this
3-year-old
book
who
is
doesn't
actually
understand that humans have bodies.
A two-page map on the back here, and I think you were trying to go off of that.
Okay, I believe that theory.
I have to say, I've loved in the Dune social media verse. I had no idea how many gorgeous copies of Dune there are out there.
A lot.
It is cool. There are some really good
perusing the hashtag Dune. Mm-hmm. Super gorgeous.
Every time I see one, I think I got the wrong one, and then I see this one, I'm like, I really like this one, but
no.
If you're listening,
but
to
I
this,
could definitely
and you've got
see
a dope ass copy of Dune.
Several. What were you saying, Lily?
I was going to say, if we have listeners, if they exist, and they have some sweet old copies of Dune, please tag us. I would love to see them at Gom Jabber, and we'll have a whole post on it.
Yeah, we'll repost your ancient copies of Dune. That'd be dope. Wait.
All right, we have not done give us the 30-second rundown.
Okay, so the 30-second rundown of this is we read 3 chapters, 2 of which are extremely long by the standards of this book up until this point, and as long as the first 3 chapters put together. But the first chapter is Big Daddy and Little Polly having a talk in a room, basically where the Duke announces that he is going to act like he doesn't trust Jessica, and no one can know except Paul, because apparently Paul is the only one the Harkonnens won't be paying attention to, which again, getting back to our theme of extreme underestimate of Harkonnen intelligence assets. But the idea is that if the Duke dies, which, I mean, who would expect? Come on, the Duke gonna die? No, but the Duke thinks he might die, and if he does, he wants Paul to be able to tell Jessica that the Duke never actually doubted her. He was just being even more of a dick to her than usual because the Harkonnens had planted some suspicion. So so the Duke wants Paul to be around to tell him, or to tell Jessica. The Duke wants Paul to know the truth so he can tell Jessica if the Duke dies that the Duke never actually doubted Jessica. And apparently, this is going to lead us into some kind of segue, Josh says.
Yeah, that is a perfect segue into our favorite segment, Worlds Collide. Do you guys think that the Duke just ran headfirst into Ned Stark? That's where Worlds Collide. Is Ned Stark the Duke of Game of Thrones? Spoiler alert.
Double spoiler
if
alert.
either of them ever die, is it Worlds collide.
Oh, are there any
Wait,
passages?
Ned never thought his wife would betray him, did he?
No. But I think the question is more: are there passages in the first Game of Thrones book where Ned is like, "Hey, just in case I die," or is he the opposite? Because he had some shit he probably should have told people in case he died and never did.
That was part of it. In fact, he said, "I will tell you when I get back." But it's also more the thought of neither of them ever underestimated their opponents. Both of them lived to a ripe old age. Just beloved leaders of their houses. I think there's some similarities here.
Yeah, there are.
Does that make Jon Snow Paul then, or who's Paul in that metaphor?
Jon Snow, clearly.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, they both have in trait the spoiler alert trait of like, right, their ascension to leadership is in many ways more problematic than helpful. By which I mean Paul and Jon.
Yeah, this is a full blown Worlds Collide.
Okay, no, I like it.
Yeah, I'll buy it.
This segment of Worlds Collide was brought to you by the brand new video game Sneaker Snape Sniper, where you can get a piece of the action.
Hey, maybe you, our resident equipment manager for the Dune team, can remember the names of all the little funny pieces and sneaker snapes that are involved in this in your inventory list.
Oh,
I mean, some of us are too busy.
I'm never going to forget Sneaker Snape, and if I ever get a sci-fi novel published, Sneaker Snapes are going to be a very significant part of it.
I mean, they let you merge your face with Snape's for your avatar. It's kind of like that Frodo Gollum mashup, or the one I sent you earlier today. That was great.
Yeah. That was delightful. Oh, we gotta find some more Loader Worlds Collides, because I'm sure they're out there.
All right, I'll think about it. I'll think of it.
Yeah. Back to this world.
Yeah, let's get back to this world.
I don't understand
back to Arrakis.
Why can't the Duke just be like, yo, Jessica, here's what I think. He absolutely suspects Jessica. This is all a cover to be like, no, Paul, I never suspected your mom. But everybody, eyes on Jessica. Not Jessica, but I mean...
Yeah, I think that actually makes sense, because he would know, she's a Bene Gesserit. If anybody can lie in front of a camera convincingly, it's fucking her, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But she would have done it already. We've already been through this.
Yeah.
She would have done it 100 times already.
So I don't buy it.
Okay.
I'm not buying it for $1.
And she couldn't possibly know who her parents are. Okay. What happened in the next
quote
chapter?
to this chapter. We never
read. Go ahead and read.
Oh, you forgot to,
Well, because we were going to do the whole 3-chapter rundown, and then Josh. But anyway, let's do the quote for this chapter. Then let's do some more coverage on this chapter, and then go on to the second one. I swear.
We will not deviate.
Go, Lily,
There's
go.
probably no more
Go, Lily, go!
Reading it. There is probably no more terrible instant of enlightenment than the one in which you discover your father is a man with human flesh. From Collected Sayings of Mua'Dweebs by the Princess Irulan.
What's great about it is...
we read that quote twice.
Yeah.
We make up for the ones we didn't read at all.
Well, but also, we already read that quote twice last week. I think I only included one in the final audio. But we've now read that quote 4 times, possibly more than we've read other quotes.
Oh, was I
total.
supposed to read the next one?
No, okay. We just read it early. A couple times.
That's fine. I don't care. So, Paul, his dad, back to this. So he's like, okay, look, I can only tell you and not your mother that I don't suspect your mother because no reason whatsoever. But also, he just sort of runs way too much. He puts way too much on Paul. The Duke cuts him off saying, I have to have someone I can say these things to, son. He sighed, glancing back at the dry landscape. Even the flowers are gone now. Yeah, which is fucked up. That's not a position you put your kid in.
So,
well,
yeah, no, you're right. I mean, everything the Duke does is fucked up. But while we're talking about fucked up things the Duke has said, I want to talk about I'm morally tired. The melancholy degeneration of the great houses has afflicted me at last, perhaps, and we were such strong people once, which is a ludicrously fascist sentence. That's the most fascist thing I've ever read, and I live in America in 2020.
I mean, the Duke does need an additional confidant. I mean, even in the next chapter, someone even says to him, "You do travel with a light complement of guards, my lord." So,
well,
it's one of those things where he... And Thufir is so old. You got one out the door. You got... also some foreshadowing, maybe.
But... Right, and Duncan is serving two masters. So can't trust him.
He is. Right? You can't trust his woman. So...
Yeah.
He's run out of confidence real quick.
Because I do love Jessica, though, because your mother's response must not be an act. Oh, she's capable of a supreme act. But the Duke is saying about Jessica, like, he's like, no, she will kill me. Back to, shout out Mapes, ride or die. Jessica is definitely his ride or die Ben Jezzer bitch.
Well, yeah, Jessica fooled the shout out Mapes. If she can fool the shout out Mapes, she can fool fucking anybody.
Right. Yeah, hence he doesn't actually trust her.
Yeah, I agree.
But here is where we finally learn that the Duke is a flawed human being. This is the first time they've hinted at it, and they really wanna bring it home. They're really showing us.
Yeah, you're right. They're really lifting the veil. Amazing. Does anything else actually happen in that chapter that's like worthwhile?
They do get to talk about how his propaganda corps is
you had some good thoughts about propaganda last time, but
but I don't have any this time.
Okay, fair.
My only other takeaway from this chapter is further proof that I just want to be a rich person or like royals, because even the Duke is just pill popping to get through the days. He took an anti-fatigue tablet from his pocket and gulped it dry. Power and fear, he said, the tools of stagecraft. Yeah, they're just uppers, downers, innies, outers. They're all just floating through.
Right after they talk about the propaganda corps, he says, "There's greater possibility for us here on Arrakis than the Imperium could ever suspect." So, he knows what he's doing. He's ready for this. I think his propaganda works better on him than on anybody else.
That might be. Yeah. All right. Well, then let's move on to these two novella-sized chapters.
Okay.
I'll read the first quote.
Never mind. Yeah, go ahead.
My father, the Padishah Emperor, took me by the hand one day, and I sensed in the ways my mother had taught me that he was disturbed. He led me down the hall of portraits to the ego-likeness of the Duke Leto Atreides. We'll come back to that in a second. I marked the strong resemblance between them, my father and this man in the portrait, both with thin, elegant faces and sharp features dominated by cold eyes. Princess daughter, my father said, I would that you'd been older when it came time for this man to choose a woman. My father was 71 at the time and looking no older than the man in the portrait, and I was but 14, yet I remembered deducing in that instant that my father secretly wished the Duke had been his son and disliked the political necessities that made them enemies. From In My Father's House by the Princess Irulan, the only book she ever published about a guy she disliked more than Paul Atreides.
So are we turning to Princess Daughter? You have thoughts?
Oh, well, no. So actually, no. My first thing I wanted to talk about was ego-likeness, which I guess means they're saying that like they don't even pretend they're real portraits. It's just like a picture of what you wish you looked like.
Oh.
I like that version. I thought it was like, how sometimes in sci-fi things they'll just make up overly fraught terms to make things seem clever, like, oh, I don't know, space bag.
Space bag! No, oh man, we have to now get a sponsorship from Ego Portraits Inc.
I'll add it to the list. I'll reach out to them. Hold on. Ego Portraits Inc. And you said the magic word here because I think it's time for a. It was in fact Space Bags. I reached out to Space Bags this week, and it was actually on a timely basis here because I'm in the process of packing my entire home as I move from one planet to another, and I don't know if any of you have ever tried packing all of your belongings in order to move it from one place to another. I also don't know if any of you have ever had as many belongings as I do. And if you have
for sure no.
As I do, yeah, no, you definitely don't. Most people don't. Hold on, let me get back to the copy that they gave me here. Hold on a second. It says I don't know when the last time you moved from one planet to another, but even those short moves can be a real hassle. I'm currently sitting in a room filled with freshly packed boxes. They didn't write that, I did. And sorry, Lily, cut it out. You're ruining this whole thing. They're never gonna give us a dime if I can't get through the copy. Shit. Okay. All right. You're gonna have to cut this whole thing out.
Oh yeah, I promise.
Let's go back to where I did a great job earlier. Why move your stuff by hand when you can use Space Bags? Space Bags. When you're tired of moving your own stuff, why fold your clothes when you can fold space? Now, every space bag comes with a full-sized navigator right there inside. Space Bags, when you just don't want to move your own shit.
To get your own space bag, go to gomjabber.com/space bags.
That's yes. Yes, thank you.
Whew, boy.
And you gotta use our promo code. Well, what's our promo code again?
You're really killing it on the hookup here, Josh.
Boyle, what's the promo code? I think they sent it to you in an email.
Oh yeah. Sorry, hang on a second. The promo code is bulbous with spice.
Bulbous with spice.
That's gomjabber.com/spacebag. Enter code bulbous with spice.
Thank you. I couldn't remember what it was. All right. Well, thank you, Space Bags.
Yeah, thank you, Space Bags. It's sponsors like that keep the podcast going, especially in these uncertain times.
Speaking of uncertain times, I hear you have a new bit of stability.
Yeah, I have a new actual full-time job. It's 100% remote. I work for a really awesome company that makes programming languages for synthesizers called Cycling 74.
And what are you going to be doing for them?
I'm bookkeeping.
Bookkeeping, you say?
Yes.
So when they got you all orientated, whatever the word would be here, and they got your software all loaded so you could do your bookkeeping, did they have you using the newest version of ChumCut Pro?
We do use ChumCut Pro, actually. It's shocking.
All right, well, that's great. Well, that means it's time to go to the Chum Zone.
Awooga, awooga.
The Chum Zone is where we really make our money here. Do you wish that you had your own personal mentat?
Obviously.
Yeah. Well, now you can anytime. Okay? Mentats are on call with ChumCut Pro. You log in, and they take care of everything you need. Your finances, your bookkeeping. They'll get you all set.
What about my
ChumCut
assassins?
Pro.
I really need someone to direct and control my assassins. Can ChumCut Pro help with that?
Of course. It's fully featured. It's fully featured. It's the pro version. They didn't have that feature in the regular ChumCut, but Chomecut Pro does have assassin organizational features built right in. With Chomecut Pro, now you can get a cut of the profits.
Now, how would you compare Chomecut Pro to an old leather bag?
I would say that I would say it's less leathery.
Wow.
Delight.
The world is rife with entrepreneurial possibility.
Yeah?
No, we're really raking it in this week.
All right.
So back to our summary.
Back to the book.
Back to the book.
Yeah, so we talked about ego portraits, which, I mean, I guess that's fine. That's what regular painting portraits were anyway, right? You do a lot in post on a oil portrait. But, let's talk about Daughter Princess.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about this. Oh, that's fine. Let's talk about this 71-year-old with a 14-year-old daughter.
Yeah, the whole time I listened to this, the ages were the only thing that were stuck in my head, and basically everything else sounded like word salad to me. So hearing you read it again really helped me.
So, I mean, besides that face, Lily, do you have anything to say about Daughter Princess or a 71-year-old with a 14-year-old daughter?
I'm just appalled at myself that I glance over those things so readily. I'm like, yeah, I used to see this. Never kind of like...
Well, I do think...
Isn't he implying there that he wished that he could have married his daughter off to the Duke?
Yes, that is 100% what he's implying. It's also, I think, meant to make us note that because every rich person in Dune is on a buttload of spice, okay? The spice is a geriatric drug. It's meant to mainly say, okay, this guy is 71, but he doesn't actually look much older than the 40-something or whatever Duke. So it's mainly...
But why does that make him want to marry off his 14-year-old daughter to a 40-something-year-old Duke that he really liked?
No, he wishes
but wanted to betray.
When the Duke was choosing a breeding partner, right, Irulan was probably like 2. And so the Emperor is just saying he wishes she had been, like a nice marriageable 13 by the time the Duke was looking for somebody. Because then they could have merged the houses and not gone to war. But what's kind of insane about that is that the whole excuse that old, Leto the Sleazy gives Jessica for not marrying her is keeping himself open for marriage alliances.
So why couldn't he have this marriage alliance with the 2-year-old princess?
Totally could have. Someone is bullshitting someone.
I wonder who it could be.
I mean, because then the Duke would have been 50 and had a 10-year-old, 13-year-old daughter. I mean, at some point, this shit would have all evened out.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you just carry the one.
I think this is also the first time that we learn we don't know before now that the Princess Irulan, whatever we're calling her, is the Padishah's daughter, right? This is the first time we officially learned that?
Oh, that might be, yeah. Right, so we now know that about her. I guess it's interesting to try and look at that from, like, the angle of somebody reading for the first time. Like, who is this? Who is this broad?
Yeah.
This is the first time we know that about her. We still don't know other things about her.
But we can guess that she gets real involved with the old Mua'Dweebs.
Right. She somehow gets very attached to the House Atreides, which apparently is going to get, shellacked any second now by the ultra clever machinations of the Harkonnens and...
Right.
I feel like the 50 novels she's written, and this one being titled In My Father's House, reminds me that she was probably locked in a closet.
That is true. She probably literally had nothing to do but type.
Oh, God, it's so sad.
Yes.
On a typewriter, though.
Sad.
Or did she literally just type her fingers on a mentat?
Yeah, she literally you just punch a mentat in the right sequence. And then later they go and handwrite a book.
I think that's how it works.
But we want to actually try to get through this episode in under an hour this time. So let's talk a little bit about the chapter, even though I know it's 100 years long. This is the chapter.
Oh, I forgot about the chapter.
Where they both meet Kynes for the first. I know, we all did. They meet Kynes, who is pretty obviously Liet, although apparently these incredibly sharp-eyed, hawk-brained Atreides just can't pick up on that fact. Despite literally everyone who walks behind Kynes being like, Liet?
Liet.
And then they go and look at some spice
Yeah, it's
harvesting.
confusing to read, because even I who don't remember anything, I'm like, wait, do they not know? I'm so confused. I've spent a lot of time confused in these chapters.
Really?
Not profoundly confused. More
Right,
just like,
but like why? Yeah.
Yeah, what were you confused about?
how do they not know that he's Liet? Now that I'm thoroughly enmeshed in y'all's Dune conspiracies, I'm like, oh, everything's just been pre-programmed by the Bene Gesserits, right? Like, every time Paul says something that's
everybody's like,
fortuitous,
holy
Jessica,
shit, he said it.
And the Fremen are like, Mua'Dweeb, quit that Cedric. I'm like, oh, this is all part of the plan. This is probably RBG put it in his head, conditioned him to say a few things when he hears about this. Say something like this.
I agree. I 100% agree. Josh, I feel like you're going to have a lot of thoughts about the first time we see sandworms.
I certainly will.
I don't know. What about all the oil extraction parts? What do people think about those?
Going back to OPEC?
Yeah, and just more like the roughnecks, right? The sand riding roughnecks. I think
the guys that carry space bags.
Yeah, I mean those guys know.
And they're not even that roughnecks, right? Like, it sounds like they get in Josh's favorite ornithopter, or the carryall, or whatever it is. And even the Atreides, you're like, oh, this is cush, man. There's like air conditioning. There's some nice seats.
There's that gorgeous gray-green upholstery.
Right.
Which is just such a sign that this book was written in the 60s, 70s. Like, avocado, the color of luxury.
I loved everything. I loved everything about this chapter. So much ornithopter goodness. The only thing I didn't like about this chapter was that the carryall didn't show up.
I have a question, and this just occurred to me. But does Gurney's song, combined with the Atreides aquiline nose, imply that the Atreides are Jewish?
Huh.
What about the song?
Our fathers ate manna in the desert.
Yeah, they're. That is interesting. Well, the song doesn't have to be about the Atreides, does it?
That's true. Somebody else could have written that song.
Gurney is an otherworldly man. I mean,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So
he
someone's
just likes
Jewish. I just don't think it's
right. He just likes Jewish songs.
Yeah.
Maybe Gurney was a cantor in another life before the Harkonnens pissed him off.
I mean.
Oh, you know what, Alec? My brain immediately went to Anathem instead of the actual Jewish faith.
Does this Gurney song?
The cantors and the rhetors.
Oh, right. But that's short for
I listened to. Yeah.
You listen to.
We're not ready for that Worlds Collide yet. I am
okay.
waiting for a really good. Neil's.
Okay, we'll wait for the correct moment to bring up Anathem. Okay, what were you gonna say, Josh?
Yep.
I was wondering if either of you had a song in mind that this song reminds you of. Like, is there a song that just really captures the essence of this?
I don't know how you do it, Josh.
Ditty?
When I see songs in books, I like music. I sing stupid songs to myself all the time. I can never effectively come up with any sort of tune for things. I just sort of vaguely half chant things to myself, and then old Josh comes out with a fully realized ditty.
Me neither, but I'm going to say Cold as Ice.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll run that through the run that through the software and see what what comes up. I had a couple of ideas. I started to play with it, but then got real busy with packing because I don't have any space bags, which I really pissed about. They didn't send me any sample. They didn't send me a sample. They didn't send me any samples. I really needed them this week, but that's okay. We love you, space bags.
Maybe they did, but somebody actually turned it inside out, and then all of space-time reverses. So.
Oof, and now we're all inside the space bag.
Yeah, don't you hate when that?
We got we got an email, well, an electronic communication of sorts from a listener.
Okay, I'm ready.
You lie.
You're looking at me like it's a joke. It's not a joke. It's true. It's totally true.
I'm still gonna look at you like you're a joke.
Is it Alex's dad?
He very much enjoyed. Thank you for writing us, Andrew. He very much enjoyed how drunk we were last week, and he was a little surprised that you, Boyle, forgot about the shields. Why the Fremen were laughing about the shields.
It's not. Was so funny. It's not that I forgot that shields don't work. It's that I just don't feel like I get the same emotional, comedic impact out of it that the Fremen do.
And so I decided that you needed to be laughed at for it, and figured this is a good time to bring it up.
Okay, I'm ready.
But yeah, it's basically that a man-sized shield draws every worm from hundreds of meters around and sends them into a killing frenzy, and that is objectively funny.
All right, well, Lily.
So I don't know what's wrong with your sense of humor. I don't know what's wrong with your sense of humor here. But something's broken.
All right, maybe. I'll accept that punishment. I mean, my fathers ate man in the desert. No, they didn't.
And Andrew also pointed out that really the whole notion of shield fighting makes you an ineffective fighter for any other type
that,
of
close combat fighting. That is a really good point. When you fight in a shield, you have to fight slow. That's what they establish in the, Paul and Gurney have a makeout chapter.
Yeah.
And then what the Fremen are laughing at is that when you can't use a shield, but you've grown up using shields to fight, you're basically walking around like Elaine dancing, right? You just moving super slowly in these ridiculous arm gestures, and you're really easy to stab.
Yeah, it's like doing a martial arts kata, right? You're doing real slow Tai Chi.
I get it.
Yeah.
And I also like the moment when the Duke let Liet inside his shield, and now that I'm attentive to little sexy little tensions that I was so oblivious to before. So the Duke frowned, thinking, how delicate this moment when Liet wants to come in and touch his suit. If I refuse, it may offend him, and this could be a man whose value to me is beyond measure. Yet, to let him inside my shield, touching my person when I know so little about him.
That's more classically subdued homoeroticism, right?
Right.
The stuff in the last chapter was pretty just blatant.
I also don't want to miss the opportunity. I hope, Alec, maybe you could tell me if we come back to this, but they're talking about how good the Fremen suits are, and it's, you won't lose a thimbleful of moisture, even if you're caught in the Great Erg, which I'm assuming is a desert of some sort, but that is the best name we've come across so far.
It's actually a leather
What page is this on? There's a lot of moisture going around in that.
This is the advantage of me having remembered reading ahead, right?
It's true. Yeah, your memory is spot on. What page was that on?
139. In our, I don't know. We are all reading from the same compendium. If y'all are listening, and this chapter also they got their undies in a bundle over. You call him my Duke and his lordship. The medieval house structure I know is useful to this book, but sometimes it's just so overwrought and kind of annoying.
Well, so I actually got some interesting insight into that recently about how mainly, and I already forgot their name, but there was a political and economic writer who was writing sort of in like the 40s, 50s, 60s. I'll try to look up their name while I tell you guys this. But who's like the main basis of their theories was that as societies continue, they all, and this is an idea that's widely disproven or disagreed with nowadays, but their idea was that all societies trend towards the medieval.
Huh.
Hang on.
And
so they
Herbert's a...
Right, and so I'm wondering if Herbert was in fact influenced by this writer, right? And so, I still think it's a dumb take, but.
Well, parts of it I appreciated. My takeaway from it was just like any time you have to insist on your authority that much.
Friedrich Hayek, that's the thinker I'm thinking of.
Okay. It to me just screams of fragility, and not just male fragility, but in this case, like royal or whatever fragility. It's like, no, call me. And so in the same way that there's interesting parallels, not interesting. There's like painfully accurate parallels with the Academy and sort of like who gets to use their titles when and who gets referred to by their titles, and it just points to the balsa wood construct that is both of those things. Like, no, call me doctor. No, call him your lordship. And he's got to have his hype man doing that for him, you know?
Well, that's just more of his...
no politician in...
So they go and they look at the spice harvesting.
Oh, is that all in this chapter? And the Duke plays hero. And Kynes is like, I don't know about these people. He's very ambivalent about him. Yeah, it kind of goes on a while.
Right, he wants to hate them, but then Paul puts his suit on. Paul puts his leathers on really well, and Kynes is very impressed. What was the other thing?
So we get through the whole thing. The worm sign shows up. Paul spots it. We learn that the Duke's actually pretty good at the military. The only thing the Duke might be good at is flying ornithopters around and
that's interesting.
No,
that's actually a really interesting point. Like, you're right. He's good at flying the stupid bug plane. He's good at screaming at guys in a field.
Wait, what did you just call the ornithopter? You piece of shit.
I'm just trying to generate conflict so we boost the ratings, you know?
You're a dick. Also, he is super, super nice to his people. You know, he spots the worm sign, and then he gets this commission, and he gives it back to the men.
Well, I was wondering how
nice?
you felt about.
You missed all of this, Lily?
No, I just think you're fucking wrong.
You don't think him giving the money back to the men was kind and...
All right. Follow me here, Josh. So the big boss from corporate comes down and is like, oh, we're going to play a game to see who gets the most, I don't know, sales in the month. And let me just see how it goes. Accidentally picks up the phone, fixes a problem, and he technically wins the quarterly bonus for the whole operation for the year. And he's like, you know what? Let me be benevolent. As the CEO, I'm not going to take the bonus that I rightfully earned. I rightfully earned this bonus that was meant for my employees who risk their life on a daily basis.
No.
I'm gonna give it back to him. And you have to. And then his stoogie comes over.
I am going to apologize for Lito right here. Okay.
Y'all are a bunch of Duke apologists. I'm ready for it.
So first of all, this is the Duke's first day on the job. This is the new CEO playing by the old CEO's rules, right? He doesn't even know about the rule. He doesn't know about the bonus. he happens to spot the what would you call this here? And if we're trying to make a corporate analogy here, he happens to spot the I don't know.
He gets a lead. He picks up a business card.
Yeah, he gets
those still exist.
Sure, yeah. He spots the big fish, right? And he tells the people, "Hey, you guys are in danger," and they go, "Hey, who's that? Whoever you are, you just did us a real favor, mister, and you've earned the prize, and we want to make sure you get it." And then they deliberate for a second, and then they tell him, "Yeah, it was the Duke. The Duke just saved your ass." And they're like, "Yeah, Duke." And then he's like, "Well, you guys can also keep the prize."
Yeah, that's just the bare minimum of decency. That's not like he's a really solid dude. It's like you don't get.
The Duke then risks his own ass and his son's ass and his ornithopter. Let's be real about that. His special fucking ornithopter. It's a real good ornithopter, too. It can take on way more men and carry a way higher weight limit. And the Duke really loves this piece of machinery, and rightfully so.
Really
let's get that right. Oh, he sure
Josh
does.
really
He talks about
We're
he talks about
how
how much
lines here, boys.
Do you know how many times he talks about how much he loves this bird? Like he's like, "No, this bird can handle it." Like he's as into this bird as I am, okay?
All right,
And
I
He
agree.
puts more faith in that ornithopter than he does in his not wife.
absolutely. No, this is his real woman, okay? This is the woman that would never betray him. And he believes it with every ounce and fiber of his being. And he puts that thing down in the sand amongst some worm sign to pick up some guys he doesn't know. And then he ends up losing all of his equipment. He loses all that spice, and he still doesn't go back on letting the other guys keep the commission.
Josh,
Even
I'm
though-
with you, except the commission thing.
Hold on. I think
Yes,
you're
Alec.
both right. By which I mean, I think that I think that in reality it would be an effective PR tool. Right? It is both ethically insignificant for the actual Duke to do that, and
True.
would convince a bunch of sand roughnecks that the Duke was a cool dude.
Yeah, it was smart for him to do it. I mean, he didn't actually give up anything.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
he's got that aspect of making himself look good to the men down. Like he does
So-
that.
No.
That's
Gurney
my point. He
has it
does
down.
that.
The Duke is
really
just like
well.
flying around, spouting worms, and then Gurney's like,
Ca-
give him
ca-
the bonus. Tell him he doesn't do any of that. I just fly the ornithopter and I boss people around and we're a real dickhole.
can I
Wait, no,
incorporate
I thought that.
possibly
I thought that it was
controversial
just
worlds
that.
collide
Was it
here?
Halleck's idea? Well,
Oh,
was it
yes.
Halleck's? Wait, was it Halleck's idea to give them the money, or did Halleck
Yes.
just make the decision that it was okay to say the Duke's name over the air based on weighing the
No. I think it was an
risks?
unspoken communication between Halleck and the Duke. Like, the Duke never said anything, but Halleck said, "Tell them to split the money," and the Duke was like, "Yeah, that's what you should do."
Y'all give the Duke a lot of credit. That's all I'm saying. We'll agree where we are. Because I
Fine.
want to hear Alex Worlds Collide.
So this is a very controversial one, and I may cut it from the episode. But are you ready for this Worlds Collide?
I don't think you get to cut it out because you're this arbiter. You're the Princess Irulan of our chronicles here,
Right.
And you
And I am
only
an
cut out the shit that
unreliable
makes you look
narrator.
bad. Yes, he was.
So when Worlds
let's hear it.
collide, the Bible.
What?
So this has always just been a thing that personally bugs me about the New Testament. Is it John 3:16? And God so loved the world, He gave His only Son. He didn't.
Mm-hmm.
In our Arrested Development tradition, He didn't. It's and God so loved the world, He briefly loaned out His only Son, who was also Him.
Yeah, it's kind of like a separated appendage, right?
Right? God sacrificed nothing, but gained a ton of approval.
You're right, Alec. This is a super hot take. Coming on the heels of saying, are those Atreides Jews? So maybe this segment does get cut out.
There are issues. There are issues with it.
Are there? I think the metaphor is perfect. I might still cut it.
Cut it out, because I also just did.
It's a little controversial here.
I did a hot take on your hot take.
You should keep cutting it until we have
this
too much
is
fodder.
bonus content. We set up a Patreon.
There we go.
You got it. You got to pay to get this.
For $10 a month, you can hear Alec insult Christianity.
I know people who would do that. I think the first one's probably your mother.
Okay.
Here's what I'm going to propose. It is 10 o'clock. We have been at this,
Ooh.
the recording, for probably an hour.
Less, yeah.
And the dinner party, there's just too much.
There is a lot of
Two
dinner
chapters
parties.
this week. We'll be back on we've done 3 chapters average every week.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
we take a chapter off. That's fine, because there's so much to talk about in the dinner party chapter.
This chapter is 3 chapters alone. So
Right. Maybe even we do the dinner party chapter like alone because it's so dense.
Well, we could have at least one or more in our back pocket.
Well, let's see what the ones after that are. Right. Everyone should read. I'm just saying when we talk, we should be prepared to literally spend an hour and a half talking about the dinner party.
That's fine.
Because I think, and I guess I'll try to get into this more next week, I think the dinner party chapter of Dune is one of the best written chapters of a thing that I've ever read.
Yeah, good teaser. I think next week, or next episode, that will be...
I love how dense and deep the dinner party chapter is.
You're going to have to sell me, Alec. That's the part where it got a bit, too much
we'll get there.
for me. All right.
We'll get there.
So
You're gonna love it. Let's get back to this chapter because we haven't even gotten to the exciting stuff yet.
Okay, let's let Josh talk about worms, and then we'll start to wrap up.
Hold on, I lost my place here. Well, I mean, we get that beautiful Mana song in the desert from Gurney Halleck. Hopefully, I will be so inspired during this week of moving without a space bag, and be able to record something for you all for next time. But then, after all of that, the Duke spots the worm sign. They call in the carryall. You know, the big ornithopter to pick up the carryall harvester. They're supposed to pick up the harvester of all the spice and bring all their just-in-time spice right back to the factory for processing. And it's nowhere to be found. I mean, they had 4 spotters. They didn't see it. The Duke saw it, but not the 4th spotter. I mean, think of how many ornithopters were in the air there. It was beautiful. And then that worm just comes right up on that harvester, and the Duke hatches this amazing plan to have all the spotters and him land on opposite sides and let all the men run out. They did not have enough room. They were going to make them choose 2 guys to die, and they managed to fit everyone in there. What did they throw out? They throw out their shield generators or something like that.
It's because they're laughable.
Yeah, no, I mean he was brilliant, and he saved the men. It was a great day for the Duke, and even in his large ornithopter was able to take off even with all the extra weight in there, and he did some hot shot flying. It was Top Gun in an ornithopter, mini worlds collide right there, and then at the last minute, right as this worm shows up and eats the harvester, they see 2 men on the sand.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. Except it was only cool because those guys didn't die, and they figured out they were probably Fremen. And so then they got to like question the crew of the Harvester about why they were carrying Fremen, and there was this whole contentious thing.
That chapter was or that section was pretty interesting.
It was exciting.
There was a lot of people coughing Liette behind Kynes' back there.
Right, that's true. They were, and there was a lot of people who had. They were really impressed that the Duke could count minutes without a clock. Like, he knew to the second how long that worm was going to be before it showed up. I mean, he didn't make the initial estimate, but he knew how to count the time.
To show me that, like, the Duke understands machinery and, like, all of that sort of strategy and how much things weigh, and, like, that's the nuanced thought that he's capable of. And then his job is supposedly to actually interact with people, which he is so bad at.
He's a man's man. He's got the men down.
But it's really interesting.
He knows the men want to know about how many women are there. Like, that is more important than anything. That's step 1. Step 2, you give him back the commission. Step 3, you pick him up off the sand.
Profit.
No, he negative profited. He lost the equipment and he lost the spice. I mean, he was furious.
Well, but per Lily's point, there was actually a section in there that I would. But anyway, per Lily's point, he didn't even make really any of those decisions. Gurney made them all.
That's what I'm saying.
He chose Gurney.
He's got his number 1. He's got his Commander Riker that's actually the charming one and that, like, sings the bodies and makes everybody happy and is like, dude, give them their money back, right? Like, you can't keep it.
I love that his number 1 is the captain.
And meanwhile, the Duke is like, 2 minutes, 55 kilos on the space generators. He's driving.
Yeah, man.
Not Jessica, you know.
Now you got me wondering if the Duke is on the spectrum and he's just like, I drive bird plane.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say it.
Shit, what else was I gonna ask about that?
How the Duke was full of rage.
Oh, yeah. There's like a section in there where, like, I don't remember exactly where, but where Paul is like, everyone in the house knew not to bother the Duke when he was in a mood like this.
Right. Further, like, he is an abusive man.
Mm-hmm.
But he made that ornithopter skid to a stop. Okay?
Right. So
Within 20 meters of the factory.
He's the evil Knievel of ornithopters, and he likes to beat everyone.
I was thinking more like the
household.
Ace Ventura. It's more of an Ace Ventura move. I think he flipped that thing sideways into that parking spot.
Okay.
One walked softly when the Duke was in a rage.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wild shit. Wild shit.
But then at the end of this, maybe, I mean, the history may be with Josh on this. Against his own will and all previous judgments, Keynes admitted to himself, I like this Duke.
Yeah.
But why?
He's a man's man. And he didn't care about the profits. He didn't care. I mean, he was mad that he lost it, but that wasn't what made him real mad. That wasn't the rage. The rage was the fact that those men, his men, were in danger, and somebody dropped the ball, and that's bullshit.
I don't think it's the danger. I think it's the incompetence. I think he is someone who is just like, there are procedures that must be followed.
Right.
This is
He
a
can't
waste.
believe that carryall was not answering to radio signal 14.75 at the appointed time.
No, that would piss me off too. That would really get me. I'd be real pissed. That kind of shit ain't gonna fly in my administration.
All right.
I'm not gonna let man's man arguments fly, Josh. In the future, you're gonna have to do better and not just rely on gender tropes for same gender solidarity. But Liette's with you, so who might argue?
Don't worry, Josh. It's just a space she can't look in. Yeah, so again, we found a unique and exciting way to get off track this week. I'm very proud of us. Right? We once again have failed to comprehensively review 3 chapters.
But we did comprehensively review 2 chapters.
I know.
Which is more than usual.
Okay, fair. Fair.
We read all the quotes. We did a more than 30-second rundown on the Ornithopter Top Gun because Josh was so excited on it. Amazing. Josh, you win. You win this episode.
A cool one, this Duke, says Kynes.
He is a cool Duke.
He's a cool Duke.
He's not a regular Duke. He's a cool Duke.
Cool Duke Maverick.
I just want you to think of me as a cool Duke, guys.
Actually, I think that's the Duke.
He does just...
He's cool Duke Maverick. Yeah.
No. He's not a cool Duke. He wants you to think of him as a cool Duke.
Right.
Yeah, he idolizes Maverick. Like that's who he grew. That was like his childhood.
Mm-hmm.
His childhood. Like I'm gonna be that guy.
I have to say, I'm more in the passing of our generation of men because y'all, to a number, at least white dudes, love Top Gun. Love Top Gun. Have every line of it memorized. Every man I ever dated had a story about how he watched Top Gun. I swear to you, they watched Top Gun so much his parents wouldn't let him rent it from the video store anymore. All of them.
You know, Lily,
all y'all.
Lily, that's a really good point. And you can be my wingman anytime.
Talk to me, Goose. They got all our flogging spice.
All right. Well, good worlds collide. I feel like we've come to an organic close here.
No, this was good.
Sandworm swallowing up the capsule. What is it? We can talk about it, but yeah, I keep coming back to it. Like,
all right. Well, I want to thank our sponsors again: Space Bags, Chum Cup Pro,
Space Bag,
Sneaker Snape Sniper,
and the Sneaker Snape Snipers. Absolutely, my favorite game these days. In these uncertain times, we're all stuck at home, and you got to play something. Why not play Sneaker Snape Sniper?
I can even play it with my parents. It's so simple. Pew, pew.
The last man came gasping into the rear, said, "The worm! It's almost on us! Blast off!"
Woo, boy, do not go in there.